Welcome to the second episode in this series in which we discuss rare and expensive video games. In the first episode, we looked at the original Nintendo Entertainment System. I didn't want this series to be predictable or linear in any sort of way, so instead of showing you NES Part 2 or rare and expensive Super Nintendo games, we're going to be taking a look at a different system and even a different manufacturer. Today we're going to be discussing the rarest and most expensive Sega Dreamcast games. The Sega Dreamcast was the last of Sega's video game consoles and has somewhat of a cult following. The Dreamcast was the first console to incorporate a built-in modem for online connectivity and had impressive ports of some hit arcade games. Many people considered the Dreamcast to be ahead of its time, being released in Japan in 1998 and North America and Europe in 1999. It was the first of its generation of systems, coming out before the GameCube, PS2, and original Xbox. Unfortunately, the system had a short lifespan, with production stopping after only 4 years. Within that time, they sold approximately 9.13 million consoles worldwide, with the Dreamcast being the most popular in the United States. The standard system most people owned was the white one. However, there was a sports bundle released in North America that was black, which is the second most common color. There were many special edition bundles and system variants released throughout the world, including Hello Kitty, Sonic 10th Anniversary, and Biohazard, which is known as Resident Evil in the Western countries. There were many more games released in Japan than North America, even though the Dreamcast wasn't received that well in Japan. There was a heavy marketing campaign in the US which led to a very successful launch of the Dreamcast. However, Sony soon ramped up their marketing for the PlayStation 2, which completely overshadowed Sega's newly released system. A mixture of competition from Xbox and Sony, and severe financial losses for Sega brought the Dreamcast to an end, when in 2001, new leadership at Sega stopped production of the system and restructured the company to be a third-party software developer and drop out of the home console market for good. In North America, a total of 248 games were released for the Sega Dreamcast, and many are considered to be rare or fairly expensive. In this video, I will discuss a few of these rare games. Power Stone 2 is a 3D multiplayer fighting game, which is a port of the arcade game by the same name. A few small changes were made to the Dreamcast version of the game, including the removal of a combo system and new character voices. Power Stone 2 was released by Capcom on August 23, 2000 in North America, and included 4 modes of play: one-on-one, arcade, original, and adventure. Adventure is the standout mode in which the player collects money, cards, and many different items as they progress through a randomly generated storyline. The game can be compared to Super Smash Bros., with numerous items for the players to use during fights, and the changing backdrops and levels, but the 3D aspect is unique here, as most fighting games like Smash Bros. Or Mortal Kombat are in a 2D perspective. Complete copies of Power Stone 2 sell on average for $100. Factory sealed copies of the game sell for an average of $160. The rarity of this game is an 8 out of 10. Cannon Spike is a multi-directional shooter published by Capcom and was released on November 14, 2000 in North America. Cannon Spike is also known as Gun Spike in Japan, which is the arcade version of the game. One very interesting aspect of the game is that the playable characters come from many of Capcom's other games, including Darkstalkers, Mega Man, Street Fighter, and Ghosts and Goblins. Even with these beloved characters, the game is not considered to be in the top tier of Dreamcast games, with an average rating of only 70%. The primary focus of the game is boss fights, which are interesting, but more variety in gameplay could have helped to improve the reception of the game. Complete copies of Cannon Spike normally sell for about $150. Factory sealed copies normally sell for only slightly more than complete copies, although only a single sealed copy has sold in 2016 at the time I'm making this video. The only copy to sell this year so far went for $200. However, the average over the past few years appears to be about $160. The rarity of this game is a 9 out of 10. Project Justice is yet another arcade port, but is also the sequel to Rival Schools on the PlayStation 1. It was released on May 16, 2001 by Capcom and is a 3D fighting game similar to Fighter's Destiny on the Nintendo 64. The game is a team fighting game, but instead of teams of 2 like in rival schools, there are teams of 3. You can choose to either play in story mode or free mode. The story is set 1 year after the end of rival schools, in which you must fight to stop an assassin from his end goal of ruling all of Japan. The game has an impressive combo system and special attacks for each character. Complete copies of Project Justice on average sell for $170. Factory sealed copies have increased in price dramatically throughout 2015 to 2016, and since 2015 only 5 sealed copies have sold on eBay. The average of these past 5 sales is $296. The rarity of this game is a 9 out of 10. Giga Wing 2 is yet another Capcom published game released in North America in May of 2001. It is a vertical shooter and once again is a port of an arcade game. By now we are definitely seeing a pattern here. Capcom published arcade ports are generally more rare or expensive for the Dreamcast. Giga Wing 2 has an incredible scoring system with high scores not uncommonly in the quintillions. You collect gems as you destroy enemy ships to boost this score, while a very impressive orchestral soundtrack plays in the background. The soundtrack was released on CD as well, which normally only happens to either very popular titles or games that have amazing soundtracks like Giga Wing 2. This vertical scrolling shooter has beautiful graphics, and paired with the soundtrack makes for a very fun gaming experience. Complete copies of Giga Wing 2 sell on average for $135, while factory sealed copies average about $165 since 2014. However, only a single sealed copy has sold so far on eBay in 2016, and it went for $300, which is $100 more than the most expensive copy sold between 2014 and 2015. The rarity of this game is an 8 out of 10. Bangai-O was released on the Dreamcast in March of 2001. It was originally a Nintendo 64 game released in Japan, and after a few months was ported to the Dreamcast. The only game in this video to not be published by Capcom, it instead was released by Treasure. It is a multi-directional shooter with under-impressive graphics for the system, but being ported from the N64, that is to be expected. The sound effects can get annoying fast as they are loud and repetitive, but the game received excellent reviews across the board, averaging a 9 out of 10. There is an even rarer version known as Bangai-O Prize Edition, which is considered to be the rarest Dreamcast game because only 5 copies were given out to high-score winners. This version included a sticker on the case stating it was a winner's trophy. With only 5 copies out there, and presumably all owned by collectors, the chances of finding this version are slim to none. However, the original version is the exact same game minus the sticker. Complete copies of Bangai-O normally sell on average for about $60 to $65. Factory sealed copies sell for about $100. The rarity of this game is a 9 out of 10. As I stated at the beginning, I'm not releasing these videos in order because I want each new episode to be a bit of a surprise and to keep the series fresh. I will be releasing more videos in the future covering other rare and expensive video games, so please keep checking back for more videos in this series. Once again, I hope you found this video to be informative and entertaining, and I want to thank you for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next episode.